a welcome again to everybody from all over the place, which is great. And we do have 3 USA-based visitors today. So that is so exciting. So welcome, and we look forward to the feedback from the 3 of you. And today we are going to touch on employee wellness. And I want to take this a little step further and not just talk about employee wellness, but I'd like to add another word into there, and that is employer wellness. I don't know if any of you have heard that saying, happy mom, happy mother, happy home. Have you all heard that saying? Okay. So I would like to put out a saying to our industry, happy boss, happy spa. It comes from the top. So when I speak today about employee wellness, please can I urge all of you employers, managers, directors, owners to please take note of what I am saying. Because if the foundation and the boss's mind and mental state isn't strong and solid, it will not carry through to the rest of the team. So whilst I'm going through a few things, and then I show you the recording with one of the psychologists that I work with, and then later on we're going to ask another psychologist, Dr. Liesel, to come on and just say a few words. I would like you to be very aware of your own state of mind as I'm taking you through this process. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a video clip, all right? And this video clip is something that you might want to get your staff to have a look at before they even come into the salon or the clinic, because a lot of them are feeling very alone, okay? That word alone can resonate with a lot of them. And I think this video clip gives them hope that doesn't matter if you're alone. So have a look and enjoy. I think if everybody can turn their videos off while I show this, and then when we're done, you can put your video back on, okay?
Success can be a lonely road. It can be a tough road. It can be a hard road. It's not for everyone. Those who follow others like sheep will never know who they truly are. Only those who follow their own path can discover their true potential. Those who fly alone have the strongest wings. Those who walk alone have the strongest direction. The rest will always be in need of others for their survival. They will always need attention, need recognition to survive. I am at peace alone, needing no attention, no recognition, and still I thrive. I'm not saying those who have support are weak. I'm not saying you must go at it alone to gain strength. This is just for those who have fought battles alone. Those who have felt like they don't fit in. Those who have never had support in anything they do. All of those who feel no one believes in them. You don't need them to believe in you if you believe in you. You don't need their support if you've got your own back. The best part is when you truly live the life you want to live. When you speak your truth, when you embrace who you are, then you gain real respect and real love. People love those who have the guts to be themselves, those who have the courage to follow their heart. Why? It's rare. Why? Because most people wish they could do the same. Show them the way. Keep going. Believe in yourself. It will all come good in the end. And when it does, you won't have only inspired yourself to be more. You will have inspired so many others. I had to learn to fight alone. And because of that, I am strong alone. I am strong. Full stop. I developed inner strength that can't be broken. I am unbreakable. Because of the pain, I am strong. Because of the struggle, I have character most will never know. I appreciate others more than ever. I have more compassion than ever. I had to go deep into the darkness. Now I have more depth. Now I can see clearer. I had to face huge internal challenges. Now I can defeat any challenge. I will destroy every challenge. I am proud of who I have become. I am proud I have overcome. I am proud I kept going. I am proud of who I am, who I have become. I am proud I stayed true to myself because now I can live as myself with respect from others and most importantly, pride and respect from myself.
Okay, how beautiful is that video clip? I mean, it is, yeah, and I think a lot of people feel quite alone in this journey. I think employers feel alone, that they're carrying all this burden, and employees feel alone because they are isolated and haven't been able to go to work. So I think quite a powerful video clip that you can share with your team, and especially with what we are going to talk today about, and that is how to get your team to a place of wellness before they start doing treatments. So I wanted to add a little new word into all these words that we've been using and talking about in the last couple of I was going to say weeks, but months together actually. And I'm not a fan of this word social distancing, okay? I don't like it at all because I still believe that the social aspect of our life needs to be top of mind and needs to be part of what we are doing. So I think that we should call it physical distancing. And let's make the resolve to stay socially connected, okay? And I think this is something that we can implement especially in our businesses, where we say to clients, we're not social distancing, we're physical distancing, but we are completely and socially intact and connected to you through this whole journey, okay? So first, let's have a look at why do we need to worry about our staff's wellness, okay? And I mean, there is so much more than what is on the slide, but I think these are the four main ones that I've taken from having chatted to a lot of actual therapists. So I've been chatting to you a lot during these last couple of sessions, but over the last 2 weeks, because I knew that we were going to reach a time where we would need to discuss our staff's wellness, I've been reaching out to a lot of therapists, lots and lots and lots of them. And it seems like these four are the main things that are really worrying and concerning them. And the first one is the emotional impact that this COVID pandemic has had on everybody is bigger than what we think it is, because everybody is trying to maintain composure. Everybody is trying to be strong and learn and all those kind of things. But what's happening in the background on an emotional level is either being blocked or not being dealt with. Okay, and I'm going to talk about why that's so serious in our industry in a minute. Okay, the second point is that when this pandemic became real, we did expect some sort of change. So as we watched China, and then we watched Italy, and we watched all these countries getting attacked, going into lockdown, I think we all expected some form of change, right? But we didn't expect the type of change that actually materialized. I don't think any of us expected it to be this severe and this intense at a level that almost when we talk to each other, people can't describe how they're feeling, and they can't describe, what they're going through actually. The third point is we were given, so I'm speaking for South Africa here, and for most countries for that matter, we were given some notice of the changes. Okay, I mean, some countries were like, sorry for you, lockdown tomorrow, cheers. Okay, we were given a little bit of notice. But that notice was not enough time for us to get emotionally ready and wrap our heads around it. What happened in that time is that the toilet paper ran out all over the show, okay? Groceries started becoming an issue. People started stocking up on cigarettes and alcohol and all what they think were basic necessities. But we didn't emotionally get stocked up. Okay, and all of this is going to start coming out now and in the future. That is what we need to get ourselves ready for. The next point is that our industry, our beauty, wellness, health industry, has been impacted in a huge way because other industries, and the reason I say that is, I mean, everybody's been impacted in a big way, but we are still not allowed to go back to work. So other industries have opened up and they can operate and work. Our industry is still under shutdown, lockdown, right? And this in turn has impacted all of our lives in ways that we never thought would ever have happened. Okay, from a financial perspective to physical to material, there's just so many ways that our lives have been impacted by this. And again, this is all going to come out at some point in time. And as employers, we need to deal with it in our own capacity. And we need to make sure that our staff that are actually going to come back and treat our clients, that they have dealt with it or are dealing with it or in a program to deal with it. And then the last and scariest one is that the fact that the pandemic is not going away anytime soon is totally, totally emotionally intensive, because we now have to get used to a whole new way of living, of operating, and of running our businesses up until such time as there is some solution. But by the time there is a solution, right? Let's say we get this vaccine. The world and our market and people will have changed. And that is what we now have to get used to. We have to, first of all, see how they are going to change, all right? How our consumer behavior is going to change and adapt in our businesses. And then how do we respond to those type of changes? So, all of this might not seem a lot to you, but I just want to tell you that this is major. This is major stuff that people are having to deal with. And we've got to look at ways, how do we go about supporting our staff? What do we do? Okay, and that's what I want to take you through today. Okay, so just to describe some words that go along with this pandemic, and maybe you have experienced these words or have heard them out of your staff's mouths, but I'm hearing a lot of words of fear of what's going to happen, a lot of a rise in irritability in people, anxiety, stress, and then trauma. A lot of people are actually getting completely and utterly traumatized by what is going on, and how they're going to continue and how they're going to carry on. Okay, so I think the first thing that we need to do, and I've adapted this slightly to suit our industry a little bit better, is we've got to understand, and we have to make our staff understand things that we cannot control. So best we let go of them, okay? And why I say, or what I'd like you to do when I say let go of it, is I'd like you to choose where you are going to put energy into, okay? Because our energy at this point in time is precious. It's a precious resource. So use it very wisely. So things that we cannot control is other people's actions. You can't be the person that goes around saying, you must wear a mask, and you must do this, and you must do that. No, we cannot control how other people are going to behave. We cannot control official policy. What that means is we cannot control what the government decides to make official or not official. We've got no control over that. So don't put energy into it. We've got no control over predicting what will happen, over other people's motives, over how others will react, if you're following with my cursor. We've got no control over how long this will last. We have no control over, to add a little bit of fun, the amount of toilet paper available at the store. Not in our control. And we definitely cannot control the circumstances that we have been dealt. What we can control and where we should put our energy into is in this middle circle. And that is, how do I treat and support my colleagues? If you want to add family into there, you can. I mean, this is really a business-related topic. How do I use my knowledge and skills to provide the best treatments that I can? Now that for me is important to share with our staff because they can control that. My own physical distancing measures, we can control it. So we can control whether we decide we're going to use a mask, we're going to use a shield, we're going to sanitize, we're going to use gloves, we're going to take it to the best of our ability, precautions as most as we can, okay? We can control our own kindness and grace. We can control our eating, our resting, and our self-care. We can control our attitude, whether we choose for it to be positive or negative and martyrish, okay? We can control, and these two are really hard, okay, at the top here, turning off the news and limiting social media. We can control that. So I think that this is really important, first and foremost, to share with your staff, is what are you as a team going to put your energy into, right? And we move on. So what I'd like to introduce you to today is what I want to call a dynamic wellness program. And why am I calling it dynamic? Is because the word dynamic means a process or a system that is constantly changing. I do not believe in this is our wellness program, this is what it has always been, this is how we do things around here, okay? And this is how wellness is dealt with within this business, okay? I definitely don't believe in that. And the reason I don't believe in it is because our circumstances and our conditions and our mindsets are dynamic in nature. So if all of that is dynamic in nature, why are we not running dynamic wellness programs? In other words, we still are committed to looking after our staff's well-being, but we are more committed to making it a constantly changing program and system. And right now, more than ever before, okay, well, in the history that I've been alive and working in this industry, have I seen the need for an actual wellness program to take place within your organizations, okay? And I feel, like I mentioned at the beginning, that this starts at the top. So the wellness starts with the boss, with the director and with the manager, and it trickles its way all the way down. So what I want to present you with today is not only something for you to say, oh, brilliant, I've got this tool now, I'm going to carry it on into my organization. The tool starts with you first. You applying the tool to yourself and then trickling the tool down to the rest of your team. Okay, so what are the benefits? And some of you may have heard this in the past. If you haven't, I want to make this a little bit more applicable to our industry as we go along, because that's what we are really focusing on today, is what are the benefits of an employer investing energy, because this is what it is, okay? It's not necessarily financial, because you can run an employee wellness program that hardly costs you anything, but it's more time and dedication and energy. That's what it is. But the benefits for you as an employer are definitely increased efficiency in your staff, 100% fact. Fewer sick days, 100% fact. Staff retention, your staff will stay with you if they feel that you care about their well-being. For those of you who attended our session last week, where I showed you that survey that takes place that we're actually going to run in our business management module 1, where you ask a staff member what is their most important value, what they see as most important in their jobs, and what you as the owner see most important. Funny enough, number 1 was how they are valued. Okay, when a staff sees that you care about them, they will stay, they will stick with you. Increased client loyalty. And this is through energy transference. And I'll explain quite briefly what this is. I'm going to chat about it a little bit later on. But if a client comes into our business to have a treatment and our therapist has a low self-esteem, she is going through depression, she has been traumatized, and she feels like she would rather die, okay? Now, she puts on this facade that, I mean, is not great, okay? But she puts on a semi-happy face, greets the client, follows your SOP system. I want to tell you what's going to happen. The second that therapist touches your client, their energy and what they're feeling inside and what they are experiencing on an emotional level is going to be transferred to your client. They won't say anything. They simply will go somewhere else where the energy, where they feel energized and from their treatment. Okay, so at the end of the day, if your therapists say that they feel totally emotionally drained, that is a great feeling, because it means that they have transferred energy, excitement, passion. That's what they've transferred onto your clients. And that leads to client loyalty, because they feed off that. That's what they want to feel every time they come into your clinics. Also, it promotes a team building mentality. So when you have employee wellness programs, everybody feels like they are part of something. You will also get a more optimistic, positive attitude staff. That is absolutely no doubt. Because now, again, remember I said it comes from the top. They see the boss lady, good mindset, she's well, and that trickles on to the rest of the team. And then you will no doubt see a boost in revenue, because the more efficient, the more positive, the better energy your staff have, the more the clients will spend and keep coming back. Okay, so I hope that's made sense. In terms of your employees' benefits, what will they benefit from you running some sort of wellness program with them is an improved self-esteem. And that is vitally important, because let's face it, we are going to be facing some very low morale, low self-esteem ladies coming back to work, and gents for that matter. A better work-life balance. They feel appreciated and valued. They will lead a healthier life because now you're giving them the tools to do that. They will feel part of a team. And that is vitally, vitally important, okay? That your staff members feel like they are part of something. They will have a much more positive mindset. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the term quality of life, okay? But quality of life is so, so, so important. And it is important that we understand what do our employees think their quality of life is at the moment, okay? And they will experience an improved standard of living as well, okay? So I think the benefits from an employee and an employer perspective are so, so vitally important that we need to give this value. We cannot ignore what state of mind our staff are coming back with, okay? And that's the point that I really want to drive home today. Just a very quick recap, because I'm not sure if any of you have ever even investigated what is the difference between standard of living and quality of life, okay? So standard of living is more measured by wealth and material comforts. It is generally related to finances and to money. It includes factors like income and economic opportunities, and it's also reflected in a person's consumption levels, how much they consume from the economy. Whereas quality of life is completely different. It is a subjective measurement because there's no tangible way to measure it, okay? But it measures a person's happiness and how well they feel or are. It is not necessarily financially related because you can have a very, very happy but very, very poor person. It includes factors such as education, how safe somebody feels, their mental health, and how happy they are at their place of work. It observes a person's satisfaction level with life, how happy they are to be alive. Okay, now what I want you to look at and focus on is not standard of living, because that will come with an improved quality of life. What I want us to focus on with our employees and ourselves, all of us, is what quality of life do we have? And how do we feel about being alive? And how satisfied are we with life at the moment? And then there's two beautiful quotes there. The one on the left saying, if standard of living is your number one objective, so let's word it differently. If your financial status and your material possessions, your car and your house, is your number one objective, quality of life almost never improves. So how your happiness and your well-being almost never improves. But if quality of life is your number one objective, your standard of living will, without a doubt, improve. Okay, because now you are happier with life. And in turn, what happens? You are more efficient. Your energy transference is better. Your efficiency grows through the roof, and you start earning more money. And then the other quote that says, funny how your quality of life improves dramatically when you surround yourself with good, intelligent, kind-hearted, positive, loving people. So I'd like you to make the resolve to have your spa business, your clinic, whatever it is that you're in, hair salon, aesthetic center, surrounded, or your team should be good, intelligent, kind-hearted, positive, loving people, because it rubs off onto each other and slowly everybody's quality of life starts to improve. Okay, so I want to now go on to David couldn't join us today, and I've known David for for a very long time. And David was born and raised in an immigrant family. So his family, pretty much like I was, my family are from Spain and his family are from Portugal. And he started working in the family butchery from a very young age, driving the truck to the market and so on and so on. And he navigated his way through life to becoming an accomplished psychologist. He's also an endurance athlete, okay, which that on its own comes with another set of mindset, bottom line, and he is a committed family man. So just a little bit more about him. As you can see on the screen, he is a psychologist by formal training. He does practice at the Waterfall Netcare Hospital here in Johannesburg. He really is a must for a fresh take, quite different. He's got quite a different way of dealing with psychology. And he brings individuals really together to achieve their full potential. He is a father of 3, happily married for 17 years. So that again also helps to facilitate energy and unity in life's most precious relationships, whether it's with your partner or in an environment where you work with people. And then he's a multiple sub 3-hour marathon runner. And good golly, Miss Molly, he's definitely an endurance athlete because he keeps doing all these fancy competitions and things like that. So I'm going to take you to the pre-recorded interview that I did with David. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so I can call up the interview. And I'm going to find the interview screen. It's quite interesting what David has to say, so enjoy this. Let's see, how do I get it to be full screen? Can you all see my screen? Just doesn't seem like... Can somebody tell me if you can see my screen?
Can't see the video.
Not at all. Oh dear. Okay, hold on. Let me get it up again. Hi, David. How are you doing? Okay, can you see that, everybody, or not?
Yes.
Super. Is it taking up the full screen or just a little block in the screen?
It's good for me, Marisa. I can see the full screen.
Oh, okay, brilliant, because it's not showing full screen on my side. Okay, super. Thanks, guys. Okay, I'm going to play this clip quickly.
Marisa, great. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time out on a Sunday to do this recording with me, because we're quite sad, well, I'm quite sad that you're not able to join us live at our coaching session on Thursday, but I do understand that you're very in demand in your job, which is a great thing. But thank you for doing this recording so that I can share it with our network and for them to be able to hear a little bit straight from the horse's mouth, as if to say.
So, well, thanks so much. I'm missing Thursday as well. Just it's a very booked up day for me, but yeah, more than happy to work alongside you. I think it's a great project and a great initiative.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so I think, David, for the benefit of everybody on Thursday's meeting, can you maybe just tell us quite briefly, I mean, I know you've got this whole long list of accolades and stuff, but just a little bit about yourself so that they can get a bit of background.
So I'm a psychologist. I've been in practice now for, 19 or 20 years. I'm a father of 3 kids. My wife also works in the medical industry. So my field of specialization is really health, where I've been working almost exclusively now for about 15 years. And so it kind of relates to a lot of what you do. And I know that's why we've had a few discussions over the last while. You know, specifically, I suppose, pertinent to today's discussion is in my day job, so-called, or as I call it, is I deal with a lot of people in business, because of the kind of health stuff we do. A lot of self-employed people or people in management positions, and with all of this stuff been going on now, it's a very, very unique time. So it's also an opportunity to be able to reach people in a certain way and to reach them on a certain level that we can actually help with.
Okay, that's amazing. That's brilliant. Okay, so I think, David, the first question that I have for you is the topic that we are going to be discussing on Thursday is employee wellness. I think so I think it's at this, up until now, I've really been coaching the salon owners on really taking them through this journey through lockdown, on how to keep them sane, keep communicating with your clients, keep meeting with your staff, blah, blah, blah. What is concerning me is when we go back to work, which we're either on the going back, depending on when our industry gets released, or we are a month or two away from going back, right? But what is concerning me is what state of mind the therapists work for, and not only the therapists, the salon owners and the managers themselves are in over this lockdown period. Bear in mind that we touch people. So we are therapists, we do massages. When you touch somebody, you transfer energy. So what is concerning me is, number one is, so I've got a few questions for you. Is number one is, how do you feel that it's important and vital that the salon owners look at their own state of mind and try and delve a little bit deeper into how really are they feeling, and two, should they be doing anything for their staff in terms of wellness and returning to the workplace? So let's start there.
Well, your first question, the kind of, call it the salon owner, is really in a leadership position. And what a lot of people who don't own businesses don't always appreciate, and people who do own businesses do appreciate very often, is that as the owner, often you get paid last. So it's really, really, the owners aren't in easy positions. And I'm seeing this with a lot of business owners across the board, is that the owners are in a tough position, and you've got to kind of hold up the morale of everybody else. And there's an old saying in business is that if you're going to do 30 jobs, then you can expect your employees to do 15. In other words, we've got to kind of pull the slack in the rope in a leadership position. So definitely, I think salon owners would have to be, first of all, looking after their own mind, because they kind of create the environment around the workspace. And bearing in mind, this sort of crisis, if I can call it, more than any other, has affected a very, very wide scope of people. So even the clients coming in for treatments are coming in with their own sense of negativity. So there has to be a form of a normative way of lifting the environment in the salon, call it, and the owners will be the apex of that. So the way that you feel, you've got to consider every single word and bit of communication that you pass across. How is it coming across? Because that will be interpreted very, very, I almost say, thoroughly by your therapist, because the owner's attitude will kind of set the tone in which all this other stuff happens. So should the salon owner be looking after themselves? Absolutely. Like, we've got to be working on, where am I at? Where do I want to be? What kind of an environment do I believe my salon thrives in? And that environment has to be deliberately set up, because if we just leave it to what we're seeing in the press and all these other things, it can really spiral out of control. Okay. What can a therapist do or a salon owner do for all of their therapists? Gosh, it's so difficult because every individual is different. However, they'll certainly, people are impacted this in so many different ways. If somebody comes from a 2-income household, for example, and the other person, your therapist's spouse, has survived economically, then it's not so bad. If your therapist is the chief income earner in a home, it can be devastating. And we are seeing those kinds of stresses permeate through. So I would say the first thing is never assume, this is an old expression that everyone has, when you buy a hammer, everything's a nail, and you just want to try that everywhere. That's from assuming everybody's the same. So I would say consider each individual therapist you have working in your environment, consider their background, maybe have a few quiet, casual conversations, not around teaching anything, but around listening, around taking in where are you at, how are you coping with these. And in some cases, some people just need that. They just need to be heard instead of being instructed to. And you'll find other people are going to need a further intervention. You may find there's absolutely, some very serious emotional things going on because of all this. And then maybe they need to be referred to someone who they can talk to, on a professional basis. But it all starts there in the salon because you, as an employer, you have a certain trust relationship that you can almost come in with and understand people from as a first touch point. And that can't be underestimated. It's very important.
Okay. So just to clarify, because I mean, from my perspective, and I'm not a doctor, but from my perspective is going back, for me, number one is important that obviously all the protocols are put into place clearly for COVID prevention. But number two, I almost see it as second in line, is to make sure that your employees, your therapist's state of mind, and that they are well. I want to use that word well, because we definitely don't want them going and doing treatments on our clients when the energy being transferred or the language being given is, oh my gosh, I've had this awful time. I mean, because now we are treating clients that are probably in the same boat, because that's why they're there in the first place. So am I understanding your emphasis as being that employee wellness is paramount, vital to the success of us going back?
For sure. I can tell you about a few cases I've seen over the last month and a half where people said, I went to such and such place, whether it was visiting a friend, which, which way they did it, or an encounter where for the first time they didn't hear about, the number going up and what is the corona, this and the that, and where people just spoke about normal things. So yes, your therapists are the touch point, right? I mean, the owner can't touch every client, but all of these workers do, and that transfer of energy happens physically when we touch people, and the transfer of energy happens at a much higher level emotionally. So in psychology, they talk about transference and countertransference. So we can really transfer our own energy, whether it's positive or negative, onto other people, just in the way that little verbal and non-verbal cues and things like that. And of course, if you go in for a treatment, whatever treatment, and you walk out of there feeling positive from just having been in a different environment where, there's a certain energy being transferred, you'll want to come back. But if you go in there and the treatment was good enough, but gosh, you come out of there thinking, oh, I hear one more, depressing story or fear, where fear is the environment, that energy transfer is not something people want to return to very easily. And it cannot be underemphasized in any service industry. I grew up in the service industry, in the sales world, and the way people are, the people who do the best are not necessarily the ones that are the most technically proficient. They're not necessarily even the ones who provide the best pricing or anything like that. It's often when there's a great energy and a great buzz around the place, and it's just a nice place to be. And that is that energy transference that you're talking about. It is vital, good times or bad.
Okay. And then my next question, David, is when do you think that this, if I can call it, process of employee wellness, whatever we want to call it, program, employee wellness program, when do you think that this process should start? Should it start now in preparation for opening? Should it start the day before? Should it start the day that we open?
I would start it before, and I'll tell you why. Like if it starts on the day of opening, you're too late. People come in to spaces with a certain energy, and I think if people just begin to understand the whole, in a way, this is a kind of trauma that people go through. And the way that trauma works is it gets us to reframe how we see things. So, for example, if you drive the same road every day, then one day you had a major car accident on that same road, suddenly driving on that road that usually was a thing you never even gave a second thought to, it's traumatic. You get this heightened sense of anxiety, and then, if that is left to fester over time, it develops into many other things, depression and a bunch of other stuff. So my point being is that this has been like a trauma that got people to reframe. Many people have stopped believing that they could be successful, and that needs to happen before they set foot back into the workplace, just to become aware of the issues. It's not like we can fix people and then start. We can't wait for that. But just an awareness of those underlying issues is a great place to start, and before they start open seeing clients.
And also, just a question, I'm just thinking, like, do you think that the mere fact that the salon owner is implementing a wellness program, if that's what they want, let's say that's what we decide to call it, with her employees, will already have a positive psychological impact on the therapist? The fact that she thinks or sees, oh, my boss actually cares. My boss is doing this in our salon. Do you think that that alone will have any impact?
Yeah, in principle, no human being wants to feel like a tool. So, like, no therapist wants to feel like, my boss needs me back there so that we could churn through the numbers and all of that stuff. That side of business counts, but I do think you're at an advantage as an owner that you have made it clear to your therapists that they matter. When in any service industry, when somebody feels like they don't matter, immediately guess who's the next person who doesn't matter? The customer or the client. And it's something that can never be overemphasized, is that you don't earn your income from your boss. Ultimately, you earn your income from your clients. Even if they're your boss's clients, that is where your income comes from. So how that person gets treated is very, very important, and how the client will be treated is very much dependent on how the therapist feels, not what they think, not even if they understand that that's the person who's ultimately paying them. How they feel in that space will depend on how they treat that client. And the owner has a big role to play in making that work.
Wow. Okay, so that's brilliant. So then just in wrapping up, David, there's two last things. So you and I have been chatting a bit because I have been reaching out to you because I trust your advice and your judgment, and we have a relationship. And I did explain to you what I want to put together is this employee wellness guide. And I'm obviously not a doctor, but just in terms of your opinion, when it comes to a salon owner, for example, taking a guide such as the one that we are putting together and working through it and implementing it, do you think that that's a good start for them, to get going with this? Because a lot of them might say, well, how do I do this? Where do I go? How do I start?
Well, I think it's a great start, merely because, this whole lockdown and what it's done in certain industries, it's unprecedented. It's not something that's happened before that we could have prepared for. So it's definitely a way to start, and it certainly is something that tends to evolve. Even the traditional employee wellness programs, kind of what I started working in my work career 20 years ago, is a lot of these big companies had these things, but they were very sort of academic, and hey, they just did the maths and they figured out that a happier employee is less absent than an unhappy one. So for them, it kind of paid off in that sense. But I think, what you have, Marisa, is a great insight into how the industry works, because of how long I know you've worked around that world, and you've touched so many people in their work. So you have an understanding of the industry. And if we combine with that an understanding of human nature, and we can actually, so what you're doing is really effectively what we're doing is we're tailor-making something to your industry. And that is unique. Nobody's tailor-made an employee wellness initiative to a specific industry. It's basically, over the years, I can tell you this, I worked with some big companies, their thing has been, hey, if they're absent, then it's usually because they're unhappy. If they're happier, they're less absent. So it's like an economic thing. But I really think now you're working with people who are in smaller groups than large corporates. I mean, I think a lot of salon owners that I know have a very intimate knowledge of their therapists, because it's often a group of 3, 4, 5, 7 people who've worked together for a long time. So it is definitely a great way to start. And it's something that needs to be allowed to evolve within the industry so that it really becomes tailor-made, and it's not just something that you're slamming on top of people, but that it's something that is relevant to the market and to the current situation.
Okay, great. And thank you for all your assistance and guidance in helping me put together that guide. I mean, we're not done yet, but we will be done pretty soon. And then the last very important question, David, because like you said, that guide is a starting point, right? In the last 18 sessions, so it's 8 weeks that I have been doing coaching with a group of about 150 to 200 industry professionals. I've had 100 of those reach out to me on a personal level and saying to me, they feel like they're going off their head. They feel like they don't know how they're going to do this. And I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm trying to keep them going. So I think what I'm trying to ask you is that I know that you are very busy, okay? I mean, there's no doubt about that because you can't even join us on Thursday. But I did ask you, and I'd like to obviously say it now so that all of our audience here, is if you could help and assist with, if some salon owners need some one-on-one time with you. I mean, obviously not face-to-face. They can do it on Zoom. I mean, nowadays online consultations are the thing to do. Do you have, so a few questions. One is, when could you help our industry? Do you have a day, an afternoon, an evening, a weekend? The second thing is how would it work? Is it hour sessions? Is it, and I think the third thing is in terms of, is it something that the medical aid would look at covering, just so that they get a better idea? So if you can help me with those three, please.
Okay, I hope I remember all your questions. So the first thing is as a rule, probably for the last 10 or 11 years, I've not consulted on Fridays. So my Fridays are open for this kind of thing, which is really, really cool. The best way is for them to just contact me, and I know you've got the details. They can just pop me a text on WhatsApp. Then I can keep track. And we can set up Zoom meetings, and that's very, very easy to do. Right. So these days, the medical aids have actually, so obviously, because I'm a psychologist, I'm qualified, I promise you. So I have a practice number, and certain medical aids, I know Discovery, ProfMed, no, Discovery, yes. And I think they must just check with their particular medical aids. But they allow for the reimbursement, so people pay me up front and then they claim from the medical aid, and they allow for that if it's on a WhatsApp video call or Skype. So they don't cover Zoom, and it's because of some technical thing from long ago, but hey, that's the rules that they put up. So as long as it's with a qualified person like me, or there's a stack others out there as well, then it just pop me a WhatsApp text, and then we can do. So what I often do is the first session I do 1 hour to just get a good assessment of where we're at, what we're dealing with. Right. And with some of my clients, I have half an hour sessions after that, because it's not about lying on a couch like in the movies and whatever. It's like specific, and the way that I work is we've got to get results. If we're not getting results, then why are we meeting? And these meetings cost money anyway, so they've got to produce results, or we've got to feel like we're getting somewhere. So it's not forever therapy, every Thursday afternoon at 2:30 you see me for 25 years. There's certainly a place for that, but yeah, that's how we'd work it to answer your question.
Okay. Okie doke. So that's done, everybody. So I'm just going to stop sharing there and go back to our presentation. There we go. Okay, so I hope that the insight that, the bit of information that David gave you does help a little bit. I will share his details with everyone. We also do have another psychologist doctor on board our meeting today, who we're going to chat to in a while as well. So there's help out there, and there is help that we as an industry are working with, that we know, okay? So, and I'm sure you might all know people too, but at least we've got somebody or two people at least that we can rely on, that understand our industry as well, that can help us through all of this. Okay, so the guide that we have is almost ready, and David has been helping me put together some elements of this guide, especially from a doctor perspective. And it's called a Dynamic Employee Wellness Guide. And really what is going to be in this guide is, first of all, a wellness questionnaire, which is very, very, very important. And this is the part really that David has helped me put together. And the wellness questionnaire covers different facets of a person's life, from spiritual to cognitive to emotional to physical. And it really is there to give you an indication of the mindset and quality of life that your employee thinks that they have. Okay, and if I were you as an owner, I would do the same questionnaire as well. Then there is also a lovely little tool that's called Write a Letter To. And I'll tell you a tiny bit about it, but it is in the guide, is getting your staff to actually, before they come back to work, is write a letter to COVID, write a letter to lockdown. And there's certain guidelines of what they must put in their letter. Okay, this is going to give you a huge amount of knowledge and perspective into what is going on in your therapist's mind and head. And then an ultimate guide to a healthy workday, just giving them a little bit of a breakdown on how to run their day at the salon. And then 13 wellness ideas to easily implement in your business. So, I mean, I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but things like meditation minutes. So when you have a break, now we can't sit and chat in the staff room, but it's to take a couple of minutes and use the time wisely to re-energize and recharge yourselves. Naming of your emotions on arrival and departure. This is quite a very, very necessary part of when you open up. A gratitude book that, in fact, we're going to involve clients in as well. An activity register, so running a little internal competition in terms of activity, whether it's how many steps you took while you were at the salon, okay? Even if it's in your own treatment room, to try and keep the activity up. Immune boosting drink on arrival. So here is a little bit of a financial aspect to it, but nothing that is going to break the bank. But instead of making coffee readily available, is why not look at an immune boosting drink, or collaborate with a company, a pharmacy, a supplementation company, on assisting you putting together immune boosting drinks or cocktails for your staff on arrival. The 8 glasses of water challenge, a random act of kindness, a plant. I mean, this is quite an interesting one. Choose a plant for your treatment room, but not any plant. Okay, and it's taking you through the process of choosing the plant, what it means, what it signifies, how is it environmentally friendly and contribute toward the oxygen levels within the treatment room. A wellness wall. I mean, this is gorgeous that you can get all your clients to take part in this as well. A high 5 jar. Anyway, so there's a whole lot of different ideas that will go into this guide. And as I said at the beginning, this is a dynamic guide. So you need to take it and you need to adapt it, adjust it. What it does is start giving you ideas, and the main ideas come from those wellness questionnaires and writing that letter which you're going to read. Okay, so we will load this up onto our Facebook page as soon as it is ready. Okay, but look out for it. And this is something really, really crucial and really important to start with your staff right now. Okay, and then just an ending off is I would like to invite all of you to visit this website and actually join this, if I can call it, initiative, because I think that it is an amazing initiative. I have been a part of it for the last couple of weeks. It's called the Collective Corporation, that is headed up by Carl and ESP and his team of professionals. The website is there so that you can all have a look at it. So maybe you want to take a screenshot of my screen so that you can see what the website's name is. And really what it is is bringing our worlds together in a time of business as abnormal, to establish what Carl is totally passionate about, and this is implementing blue ocean strategies. Carl, you're on. Do you mind unmuting for just a couple of seconds and telling the audience what the goal is with this, instead of them just hearing my voice all the time?
Hi, Marissa. Sorry, you just put me on the spot there, but hi, everybody, and thanks for that. Yeah, basically, this is an initiative that was started in the 90s after apartheid, when we had a recession. And with the Gupta-led recession now, we were basically reinvigorating it. And now with COVID, it's really become necessary. So what it is how we get together as owners and get the best ideas, get them to float to the top, just as Marissa's doing now, and basically run our businesses at a new level. So that's really the initiative. So it's a collective corporation, essentially. I hope that answers it.
It does. Thank you. Thanks, Carl. It's just they're hearing my voice so much. It's always nice to hear somebody else's voice. Okay, super. And then also, the collective corporation run meetings every Wednesday morning. Quite different to this meeting, so I love the difference. Carl is very technical, he's very analytical, so it's a completely different way of looking at our industry and bringing us together to the type of direction that I'm taking, which is more like trying to give you actual tools and guiding you through this process. So if you can join us, I know a lot of you, I see your names on a Wednesday morning, but it is an amazing meeting to join into, and it is at 10 o'clock. So please join us for that as well. And then I want to talk about another doctor that we are collaborating with. Okay, so we don't only have David at our disposal, we have a very interesting and very diversified lady called Dr. Liesl Smith. And when I was reading her bio, which she sent me, I thought, oh my goodness me, how do I go about reading this? Because it is full of qualifications of every type and nature that you can think of, and degrees. But what surprised me the most is, over and above that, is the amount of successful businesses that Dr. Liesl has headed up and started, which is totally fascinating. Dr. Liesl has a very strong educational background, okay, and this is important for us with this program or workshop that she is in the process of putting together, because she really and truly cares about taking time to educate people. And hence why her collaboration in our industry is so vital and so necessary. So the workshop is called Connection Therapy. And really what it is, and I love this wording, 12 Power of the Heart Guiding Principles. I mean, that is beautiful wording. And what is that going to encompass is so vital to our staff, not only now, not only getting us out of this post-lockdown, but going into the future of our industry, is using emotions and stories as information. Listen with your heart. Manage contagious emotions and stories. I love number 4, master boundaries and assertiveness. As a therapist, this is a tough thing to do, is to put boundaries in place with our clients. And how do you do this without being rude? Developing tolerance for vulnerability. Choose the programs, be the programmer. I love number 7. I love it. Conserve energy for true emergencies. How to manage energy constructively. Prepare for difficult conversations. Engage in consensual leadership. Cultivate a culture of heroism. And I love number 12, that totally resonates with me, which is how to enjoy the ride. So Dr. Liesl, I think you are with us. So I don't know if you can quickly unmute yourself and perhaps just give a little brief outline as to what motivated you to come up with this, which has got a lot of power for our industry.
Yes. Hi, Marisa.
Yes, I
And
can hear you. Perfect.
yes. Hi to everyone, and thank you for inviting me. Yes, people have always been my passion. So I always say that I study human behavior more than other people. I love to just sit in a parking lot, for instance, and just watch the people and how they react and what they do. So strange, but that's how I developed my love and knowledge for people. And also in my working with my own children, they've taught me a lot about even something like what I've been listening to you now, consistency. That's so important in being human and working with people. Putting out your safety measures and doing all that is necessary to and be consistent with what you do. And what does it do for us when we feel that we can go to to a place where there's consistency? We feel, as humans, we feel safe. And that is what this virus has done with us. It has, in a way, taken away from us the consistency that we had, or the way that we operated in the past. And now we have to look at new ways to be as humans and to participate in the world. And for employers, that's a difficult job. I know how important it is to also be consistent with your employees. So it's very important as an owner of a business. First thing that I taught myself was that I had to stop every morning and ask, who am I and how do I feel? It's so important, and it's something that you also mentioned earlier, the emotional side, the feeling side. It's important to ask that for yourself as an owner. How do I feel? And then you acknowledge yourself firstly, and then you can reach out in a more constructive way to your employers, and be there, although you may not be feeling well or so on. But then it comes in we also should start to ask for help. We should share our stories, and if we share our stories, we're actually asking for help, for energy transference from another person to yourself. So I say that this COVID virus has been a stop street event for us all. So we should ask now, which road should we take? And it's not to say that it's the right or the wrong road. Let's explore this. That's why I mentioned in point number 12, how can we enjoy this ride? And that is where when we connect with other people, where I teach my employees, or even my friends, is how to listen, how to really listen with your heart. Yes. And how to listen for the story of survival, or the story of how you became a hero in during this event. How did you survive? So it's looking for the golden thread rather than listening to the victim, to the victim side of your client. And so I think it's vital that we learn and we stop and we look at how do we listen to other people. How do we listen with our ears and with our bodies? How do we respond? Energy-wise, it's very important, all the things that you mentioned as well. And then you can actually sit in with a dilemma that your client won't want to leave you. So how have you thought about how are you going to handle that? You're in a rush. You are. There's so many things that we have to consider, because after this lockdown, there will be a lot of stories, but I think we haven't been conscious enough about when we are sharing stories, when we are sharing, we think we're just talking. We are not talking. We are sharing a story. And every event, even if I walk from here to the next room, it has a story involved in it. And that is my job in connection therapy, is how to teach or how to guide people in how to really listen, and how to react. And then it becomes a constructive process, a process of I feel I want to come back to you. I feel I want to be your friend. And maybe that's the way we should be looking, stop at the Stop Street now, and let's just look at each other and see the person and through their stories and what they have to tell us. So that's in a nutshell what I bring to connection therapy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Liesl, and thank you for joining us on this session today as well. So for everybody out there, we've got a lot of resources available to us. I think that the point has come across quite strongly that we need to focus on this going forward. We need to have a bit of a plan of action of when we do come back, well, starting already now, pre-coming back, starting to get to know our staff state of mind, and just start having a plan on how you're going to implement a dynamic wellness program within your organization. And I love this. Well, I love the image, and then I attached a quote to it that's called Mind Over Pandemic. So I think that's what we're trying to do here. So not mind over matter, but we're trying to get our mind over the pandemic, which is very powerful and very essential for all of us. So just quickly, a recap, because a lot of people have asked me to please recap on this. We start our business management module number 1 on the 15th of June, okay? It is called Here's Looking at You. We discussed it in quite detail last week, but basically we start all of our management training courses with what the foundation of that course is, and that is you as the owner and you as the manager. So it's a very in-depth self-assessment, looking at the culture that you're implementing in your business, looking at your communication skills, looking at your personality type, looking at how you lead your team. It really is quite involved, which is great. So that is already available, and some of you have already booked your seats and purchased it. So it takes a month to complete it. And there are 2 coaching sessions included in that. So you won't pay over and above for the coaching sessions for that we're going to run for the rest of the month. It's going to be included in your module 1. Okay. And then there's also feedback on the little assessments and, the little task sheets that you need to do. There is some feedback on those task sheets. Okay. So just a reminder about that. And then I end off, well, just before we check how everybody's feeling and some comments in the chat box, but not quite yet, I want to share another very, very powerful video clip with you in conclusion. Okay, so enjoy it.
I am me. I will never pretend to be another. I will never want to be another. I will not change who I am just to fit in. I am me. I am not perfect, but I'm working on myself, working to become the best version of myself. I am working on myself to continue to expand my own self through my own work, in my own way. I am me. Not the me you think I am. Not the me you want me to be, but just me, the one I want to be. I am me. I make my own decisions. I don't follow. I walk my own path. It's not always easy, but I'd rather walk alone than walk with others in the wrong direction. I am me. I am strong. I have a big heart. I speak my truth. I don't back down. I am me. I don't settle. I go after what I want. I won't apologize for being me. I am me. I accept you. I accept everyone as they are, as they want to be. That's me.
Okay, super duper duper duper. So I think I'm going to stop the share now. I think thank you to everybody, and a very big thank you to our overseas visitors as well from the US. It's been amazing to have you on, and I hope that you managed to get some value. I'm sure you did out of today's session. And maybe we can just end off with a little word of checkout. How are you feeling? What was your best take from today? What are you most excited to do? And yeah, just to hear. Oh, brilliant. Thank you for those lovely comments, everybody. Yeah, let us hear what you're excited to do. Hopeful. Okay, super. Fairuz, we're nearly there. Nearly. Well, thank you to everybody for joining us. And yeah, keep strong, everybody. Keep focused and keep doing what you need to do.